Hello, welcome to episode 17 we're at now. Today my guest is Harry Shaw. He's a professional MMA fighter with a really impressive amateur record. He's done loads of impressive things that we talk about a little bit, his journey with IMMAF and some of his amateur fights. He's explored other styles, Thai boxing, kickboxing, things like that. Really fantastic. He's one of the coaches down at Monkey Muay Thai. You might recognise some of our other guests on from the same gym. He also trains out of the well-renowned Great Britain Top Team, which is a fantastic MMA gym based in Mitcham, really making some big waves. He's a really experienced guy, really interesting, good laugh. I hope you enjoy it. We'll start. Firm handshake.
Yes,
Harry,
mate. Yeah,
thank you very much for being on. And
no problem.
I appreciate you taking the time during the day as well, because I appreciate you've got a lot of personal training and bits like that going on here.
Yeah.
So I guess the first thing for me and anyone listening would be to learn a little bit about your background. Obviously, you're now pro MMA.
Pro MMA, yeah.
Perfect. Do you want to just talk a bit about kind of your coming up in the martial arts world, and we'll see where we go from there.
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, it probably started with, to my dad, he was always like karate.
Okay.
I think he was karate brown belt or something like that. But yeah, I would ask him all these sorts of questions how'd you get out of this? How'd you get out of that? Something like being in school and everything. It was a cool thing to just know and whatever. And so he would teach me little bits and pieces. And then just always loved the fight scenes in films, that sort of stuff. And then I think we ended up watching, was it Never Back Down?
Oh yeah.
You seen it?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So watch Never Back Down, and I was there just man, I've got to go and learn this stuff. Yeah, I've got to go learn it. And then we found a club, probably, I don't know, it was a little 5-minute drive. So I'd walk there, so it'd take about...
Was that karate as well with your dad?
No, this was Muay Thai actually. And so, so Carl, who owns Monkey, he was training there at the time. So I've known Carl for years, yeah. So, he was training there at the time. This was headed up by another guy called Matt Walton. And so I rocked up to there, and oh mate, I was this is it.
I'm in.
I was there, this is it, definitely. And mate, that was 15 years ago. Mate, and it's
never looked back.
No, not really. It's been good because I was a kid, just loads of energy, and that kind of needed to channel into something.
Yeah.
Because I had anger management and all sorts, and probably it from a young age. It was about year 5 all the way up through to about year 8. And year 8 was when I found martial arts. I know it kind of sounds like a pretty standard thing to say. I had anger issues, and martial arts saved my life, sort of thing. But it's not quite that. It was just I had a lot of energy as a kid. I didn't really get into fights and stuff, but just had a lot of pepped up energy. Didn't know what to do with it, and found martial arts and really enjoyed it. Already had an enthusiasm for it before I even did it, with the films and obviously asking dad bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And then
that's just always quite cool, isn't it? I mean, having that background, if you're already interested in something before you've started doing it, you see so many people come in and try something and they're like, oh yeah, I've always wanted to learn a bit of self-defense or just some fitness or whatever, and they come to it and then they get well into it. But if you're already quite into it, that probably explains why you've gone the whole hog and
definitely, but I'm not very good at juggling things either. So I'm there just right, I'll get good at that and then I'll move on to something else. It's so even when I was at uni or whatever, if I was doing assignments and stuff, I'd have to do it one at a time.
Sure.
But then just with martial arts though, it was just this is good. Right, let me try and get better at this. And obviously it's you're never going to be perfect.
No, you
and
never tick that box.
No, and so I've just stayed in it the whole time really. And then, span across the 15 years, it's been, I started out just doing it just for a bit of fun. Then I got introduced to, about 4 years after doing it, after just kind of doing it for fun and recreationally, got introduced to an MMA coach, and his name was Dean Amersinger. So he heads up the UFC Performance Institute in China now, which is pretty cool. So unfortunately not coached by him anymore, but he was a really good coach for the time while I was being coached by him. And then he had come from a real competitive background, and so he was then encouraging all of us to compete. And then it was probably that sort of thing. I was I don't know, you're probably trying to seek a bit of validation and acceptance from your coach as well. Because
Yeah.
it was like a young age and everything. I was about, I don't know, 17, 18. So if he was saying like, oh, you know, you should fight, I was like, okay, I didn't even question it.
Yeah, just give it a go.
But I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. Yeah, so I had my first fight when I was about 19 or 18, 19 roundabouts. It's on YouTube somewhere, and it's flipping, it's wild, mate.
And that's Thai rules.
This was MMA.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So my first fight was actually MMA. I've done a few interclubs and everything. That was like the first little intro into like competing and that. But then, yeah, did like an MMA fight at age 19 with no idea what I was getting myself into. Just backstage, absolutely shitting it.
Yeah.
And I'm still shitting now, to be honest, backstage. But you know, you get better with it. You get much better at dealing with it.
You're more used to it.
Yeah, and I think after I won the fight with by TKO in the second round.
Great.
Don't remember it. Didn't really get touched, but like, yeah, I don't remember it.
Just
and
a blur,
then just backstage, I was just like shaking and he threw up. Like, it was just the biggest like adrenaline dump I've ever had, and I was like, what on earth? Yeah. Then I went to uni for 3 years. Did a lot of kickboxing there. So I mainly do it because at this point I was still like really like bang on just striking, because striking's kind of like my forte in MMA. If it was to be anything, I've always just like really gelled with striking. Really like it. It was always something that I really enjoyed. I like the grappling, but it doesn't make as much sense to me as the striking. The striking, I get it. It's intuitive. The grappling side of things is a bit, for me, it's still very much trying to work out the processes and stuff like that.
You have to be much more technical and like
super technical. Yeah, it's super technical. With like striking, you can kind of get away with being a little bit like rough around the edges with your technique. You can kind of get away with it, but with like grappling and stuff, you just can't.
Yeah, especially against someone that's also a good grappler.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
It's a proper nightmare. Proper nightmare. Yeah, I hate them. I'll get off my legs. But yeah, no, yeah. So then, yeah, did like 3 years at uni. Spent a good bit of time kickboxing there because I was still like bang on the striking and everything. So kind of like came away from doing more like Muay Thai based stuff to doing a bit more kickboxing. So I've got like a bit more fancy pants stuff in the locker now, which is nice. Got some spinning stuff.
Is that like freestyle kickboxing, like all above the waist?
Yeah. It's all above the waist sort of thing. Yeah. So it's yeah. Yeah, no, so got all above the waist kickboxing. But then I ended up getting like the captaincy for the kickboxing in my final year, and that's when I started making it a little bit more K1. And I was like, we're low kicking.
Yeah,
I was like, we're low kicking. We're coming away from the side kick, and we're low kicking, boys. So yeah, so that was that, and then come back from uni, graduated, and then just really got stuck into competing. Yeah, I had a decent like AMI career. Had about eight AMI fights. About 6-2 in total.
And that's all MMA, because obviously you're primarily a striker, but did you go kind of straight into, obviously your first fight was MMA, but were the others a lot of the time MMA, or was it a mix of like kickboxing, Muay Thai?
I've done some Muay Thai fights. I've done 3. Okay. So 2 and 1 with Muay Thai. Done some Muay Thai ones, but primarily it was all MMA, because I remember so even kind of like backtracking a little bit, when Dean introduced us to MMA, I was there just like, sweet, I'm good on the feet sort of thing, get taken down, they're just like, what's going on?
Yeah, you're just drowning.
So, yeah, literally, because you just train like 4 or 5 years in one discipline, and then someone comes along that's like knows a little bit of grappling, and I was like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah,
it's like your 5 years of training has just been completely nullified.
Yeah, upsets your whole world.
Yeah, it still does. But but it's like one of them things. So I was there just like, okay, well, this would be good to learn. And then got competing, and competing's been good though. It does like a lot for you, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I haven't done a lot of competition myself. I try and like dip in and out of random bits, just for shits and gigs more than anything, really. Yeah. But like, it is fantastic, and even just little things that it's changed my training is probably the most important thing. But I can only imagine that when you do it more seriously, like you, it must make a big difference.
Yeah, it does. It's more, you get a lot out of it, kind of, how do you say, with the training sort of thing, it makes, because I think with fighting, it's like, if you're going to do it and you want to compete, it's good. say you're doing it just for like martial arts purposes. I think, you know, if you're then starting to take it a bit more seriously, when you've just done it for like martial arts for, you've got to test yourself and you've got to like put it in a real life setting, because there's no point kind of like having it, but not really knowing how to use it properly. And that was something that always kind of like made me want to do it, because I wanted to know, okay, well, if push came to shove and whatever, and I did need to use this in something, thank goodness I've never had to. I've always kind of like walked away from those sorts of exchanges. But kind of wanted to know if this came to it, have I got it in me to be able to use this and use it properly as to how it is intended.
Yeah, rather than just mime it and
exactly.
play the game.
No, exactly. Because I, for me personally, you know, it's kind of I felt almost like a little bit fake if I didn't do it. It's like, you know, a lot of people would kind of give you almost like an unearned respect for what they thought you could do, not from having seen what you can do. And so, you know, that was that sort of thing. And so, yeah, I mean, competing, it's like, oh no, actually, I know how to use this. I can do it. And you get that further kind of edified the more you fight as well.
Right, okay.
Because I like coaching as well. And so it's like, okay, well, I'm using this in competition. This works. And I think when someone, especially when you're coaching, when you fought, I'm not saying, you know, you haven't got to be like, I'm not saying if you haven't fought, you're not a good coach. But for me, I'm like, you know, if you've fought and you fought a lot, it's like the people that you're coaching, they know what you're saying is like,
yeah, you're bringing something back to the team.
Yeah,
you're
definitely.
You're like, I can hands-on, first-person verify.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's good for other people that you're coaching, because they'll take what you're saying there and then, as opposed to maybe not taking it.
Yeah, always having that element of like doubt, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But that's that. You know, that's my thoughts on it. You know, there's some coaches. I mean, like Carl, he hasn't fought much, but he's a sick coach.
Yeah.
Wicked coach. I mean, literally, I've been under his tutelage for 15 years pretty much. You know, so all of my striking I've pretty much done through Carl.
Yeah.
You know, and there's other guys as well out there that they haven't really fought much or haven't even fought at all, and they're wicked coaches.
Yeah, loads of famous examples like that. Like it's always Customato's the big one with Mike Tyson. Like he never did anything, did he? And even in grappling and things as well, like Danaher and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's loads of examples of great coaches, because it's a very different skill set, I think, isn't it?
Coaching. As opposed to fighting. Yeah, very different. Yeah, you've got to have a keen eye for it. I think you've got to be able to break things down and allow people to make sense of the things you're trying to explain. That's always an interesting one, because with a PT most of the day, you know, you get a lot of different people come in, and you might have to use like a different cue for this person and relate this back to someone else so they can pick things up a bit quicker, and so it makes more sense to this person and this person. So
yeah, you got to explain it different ways.
Yeah, it's interesting, and then trying to do it like concisely as well. But coaching's fun though. You know, I get a lot of enjoyment out of it. You know, getting someone from a level of not really knowing much and not being too proficient to, you know, maybe like a year later taking them somewhere where they're actually quite good, and you can see like a little transformation in the person as well. And so it's quite a fulfilling job.
Yeah, I bet it would be, to be fair. Do you find that probably helps your striking and your technical, you know, what you're talking about with the grappling, where you've got to be super technical and break stuff down? I guess teaching other people is going to be quite useful as well for you.
It does, yeah, because it reinforces good habits.
Right.
So, yeah, say you're teaching like a jab cross, for example, you know, you're just saying, okay, yeah, if one hand's out, the other one's by the chin, okay, punch out in a dead straight line sort of thing, don't loop it. You know, you've got all these cues and everything that you say day in, day out, and then when you're demonstrating as well, you have to do it perfectly. You can't like slip up when you're demoing. And so it just cements it further, I think. And then next thing you know, you're doing it when you're sparring as well, which is nice, because, you know, when it starts coming to fighting, you know, technique does go a little bit out the window. You know, fighting's not perfect. But yeah, your technique does go a little bit out the window. But if you're constantly drilling it into people, it drills it into you as well. And so I do think it helps. And then sometimes, like, you know, I'll be like talking about a technique and I'll teach myself something. I'll start saying something. I'm then just like, no, that's dead right as well.
And God damn, that's so smart.
Yeah, literally. And so it's like, yeah, you end up kind of like saying things, or like maybe you get asked a question and it gets your brain thinking in a different way, and you have to, but they ask you a really good question. It just brings like a little bit more light to, I don't know, an area, that technique that you might not have explored.
Sure, you haven't thought about that much.
No, and so it kind of, you just explore a little bit more of that map, you know. So
yeah, I like that, to be fair. And do you mainly coach Thai boxing, or are you coaching MMA?
Yeah. So I mean, I'd probably say 90% of the things that I coach is Thai boxing, kickboxing, it's striking.
Yeah, sure.
And so over the years, I've kind of like developed a bit of.
I guess the style changes. It's probably no longer Thai boxing. So
no, I've got like the techniques from Thai, but then I've got, you know, done a good bit of like boxing as well, just like straight boxing. Done again like a good 3 years of above the waist kickboxing at uni, and so it kind of had a bit of like a blend of all three.
Sure.
And then obviously with then competing more in MMA, the footwork side of things is a lot different.
Yeah.
So what I teach is what I know.
Right.
And so I don't teach, you know, if you say, oh, do you teach Thai? It's like, no. It's like I teach what I know. It's like I move more, I box more, I have my hands tight, I don't have them out. Like I said, I move more, I don't stand, kind of this sort of thing. You know?
Sure, classic.
Yeah, because MMA is a lot more, you're moving around a lot more, you know, you have to, because otherwise, you know, you get the shot of the takedown or whatever.
So many different threats.
You can't be static. So, yeah, I went off on a bit of a tangent there. I can't remember what you asked me, but...
No, that's perfect. I mean, I guess the thing is as well that they're changing their striking, because you've done so many kind of different styles. I guess you'd kind of almost blend them naturally. So MMA would probably lend itself quite well for you.
Yeah, particularly, yeah. So it's and that's what your MMA sessions are for as well. Is kind of you know, you kind of experiment and further, like you said, exploring a map of, okay, well, if I'm striking here, how can I set up these strikes to this takedown, you know, and this takedown to you know, this like positional control or whatever on the floor. And if I've got like a good like positional control, can I then start striking on the floor? And it just always like ebbs and flows. And so I do like the nature of MMA. I think it's a very like, it's kind of like the rawest form of combat.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like with martial arts, it's always been, you know, can you handle yourself in every range? And that's what I've just generally kind of been working towards, and just been really obsessive over it over literally 15 years. And you're trying to work out this and work out that, but it keeps my brain ticking over though, because you're always problem solving.
Yeah, there's always something else to like figure out.
Always someone else to figure out. And it's like, you know, and I'll troubleshoot stuff with Carl or like, you know, Keith, my grappling coach. I'll go off grapple and just, I don't know, and then come back and just like, oh, mate, right, this happened, we'll troubleshoot stuff. And because if I was just a PT all day, every day, I think I'd get bored. But I love learning, and like with martial arts and stuff like that, it's, you're learning, you pretty much learn something new every time you're training, or you've got a new problem to solve, or you're trying to perfect something.
So, something specific to work on.
Yeah, and you've always got a problem to solve, and I like that. It keeps my brain ticking over. I like the game of it. I find it really enjoyable. Just figuring out new ways to do this, new ways to do that, maybe sharpening this thing, sharpening that thing, and then teaching it and all that sort of stuff. So, it's good.
Yeah, it's cool. And so then going back to your career, you said you had about like 8 AMI fights before you decided to go pro. Yeah. How did you find the AMI scene? Was that just born of the idea of like you wanted to test yourself, or was that always like on the cards?
When I started, I didn't really like, I had no aspirations of fighting whatsoever.
Sure.
None at all. I think when you're then, as like a young kid, I think, because I don't know, particularly when I started training with like Dean, like the MMA coach, I think as like a young kid, it's like, you start getting like a bit of praise from someone, and it's like, I want that again.
Sure, yeah.
And so you turn up to training, you try and impress your coach, and they don't give you any praise for like 6 months. Yeah. Then on that flipping time when you get it, it's like enough motivation to then go another 6 months without it.
Sure.
It's weird, I don't know, but I don't know what that kind of like stems from or whatever. But I think there was definitely some sort of something like that. And so when they then say fight, you just don't question it, and you're there just like, yeah, okay, I'll fight. But like, you know, I'd go into fights and stuff just absolutely shit scared, terrified. But then I'd go out there and and I think like my first like 3 fights was knocking everyone out.
That's it, yeah.
You know, and so, and you know, and then, you know, the feeling afterwards as well, because like, you know, when I started martial arts or whatever, is I wasn't like the most confident kid or anything like that. I wasn't, but I kind of like what it gave me. Yeah, so I like what it gave me. You start to get like a bit of confidence through it, and that gets addictive.
Yeah.
But then you also get like a respect from other people as well, and that kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. You kind of get this like respect from people for what they think you can do. And I think as a kid, particularly growing up in school and everything, that served me well. I could kind of hide behind it.
Right. Okay.
Do you know what I mean? And it kind of keeps you safe at school.
Sure, yeah.
Because school's a rough place.
Don't fuck with him, he's a black belt.
Well, yeah, literally. And so, you know, but yeah, so people just sort of give you like this unearned respect. And I mean, but man, it makes your life easier at school, particularly when you're not too confident. People are then just like giving you like respect out of nowhere, and you're there just like, okay, fine, I can hide behind this. But then you kind of go along this sort of thing of, I don't know, yeah, like you're training, and then you then kind of want the respect from your coach as well.
Sure, yeah.
And that's where that sort of validation sort of thing comes in. And then so he's saying fight, and they're just like,
yes, sir.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, okay, I'll do that. It was never a goal of mine to do it.
Okay.
But then you start fighting, you start putting into practice what you're learning, and then you get affirmation from a coach telling you, oh, you're actually good. And that does wonders for you.
Well, especially if you're winning,
especially if you're
winning in a good fashion.
Yeah, and that for me, like I said, it done absolute wonders for me. You know, yeah. So you go out, you compete, you want the respect from your coach, you get it, but then they also tell you you're good at this, and then so being good at something as well, that's good. That's good for you.
Yeah.
If you're good at something, it gives you like a, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but being good at something, it gives you confidence. It doesn't matter what it is. If you're good at like playing, you know, the drums, piano, or like you're good at music, you're good at art. If you're really competent in something, I think it's really good for your own kind of like mental state and your psychology and everything.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Like having that confidence, knowing that you've got a skill, whatever that skill is, you've got a skill.
Yeah, you've got a skill. You're good at. Yeah, and that gets affirmed further through fighting. And I think that was what I was after. It's like, you know, kind of like looking back on it now, it's like, it's probably what I was after. But you get it confirmed through fighting. And then your coach telling you, oh yeah, you're good at this. Okay, I'll keep doing it. And it makes you feel better.
Yeah,
and it does, but genuinely, it's not just like a false thing.
Yeah.
It genuinely makes you feel like, it genuinely gives you confidence. Genuinely. And that's nice, because then it's quite like you've got like an inner peace about you. But that's what I think along the AMI scene was what I was kind of getting towards. And then I was doing well on the AMI scene. And then it was like, okay, well, now start testing yourself properly.
Right.
And then I started going to, I tried out for have you heard of IMMAF, the International Mixed Martial Arts Federation?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, so I tried out for that in 2019. And I made it into the team, which was good. So just for listeners that don't know what IMMAF is, it's the IMMAF, International Mixed Martial Arts Federation. It's basically like the Olympics of MMA. And so obviously with the Olympics, if you've got like boxing or whatever, it's all amateur boxers. But yeah, so this is all like amateur mixed martial arts competitors. High level, yeah. And I got selected to rep Team GB, so tried out for it, got a place, which was cool. And then, but unfortunately 3 weeks out from flying, I blew my ACL.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was a shit one.
That is heartbreaking.
And then about midway through rehabbing that, and you get COVID strike.
Oh, right.
So I think from the time of COVID, coming out of COVID and doing my ACL, it was about 2.5 years. So I was on the up with the AMI career. And then it just came to a halt for 2.5 years, which was a bit of a shame, because I had a good bit of momentum going. Anyway, then come out of COVID, fought, after 2.5 years, won that fight. And then I retried out again after rehabbing my knee fully, come back from surgery. COVID and all that sort
and
of
that,
stuff.
that one after COVID was AMI as well, was it? Or that was
that was AMI, won that, and then I tried out for the IMMAF again.
Okay.
This was 2.5 years later, and that was the Worlds this time. So the one in 2019 was just the Europeans. So I tried out for the Worlds. Went off to got flown out to Abu Dhabi.
Oh, that's cool.
Which was cool. Had this massive tournament of 450 athletes all across the UK. This is like the top level amateur guys in the world, basically.
Yeah,
Sorry, not in the
awesome.
UK. Yeah, in the whole world. You had every nation,
all the countries.
all the countries. It's Olympics of MMA.
Yeah.
You had all the countries there, and this is nuts. It's like, so I started not wanting to fight.
Yeah.
Then you because you're training so much, you get quite good, and then you get it confirmed that you're good by your coach and your fights, and then it's like, okay, well, you've got that bit now. Test yourself. Okay, you try out for the world champs and you get a spot. So I was first pick for GB lightweight.
That's awesome.
Which was wicked.
That is a big claim in itself.
Yeah, and that gives you some like fucking sweet.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. And so, it's rewarding. Like you're putting a lot of like work into your martial arts, and it gets rewarded. And it doesn't get rewarded often, but when it does, it's really worth it.
Yeah.
So I went out onto an international stage. Like first fight, smoked the guy.
Nice.
Absolutely smoked him. Second round stoppage, and then second fight, I got matched up with basically the guy that I fought ended up losing to the guy that won it. So anyway, this fight I lost. I got smoked.
Happens.
Wrestler.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
wrestler. Yeah. Didn't leave my legs alone. No, it's MMA. You got to learn it all, haven't you? So, So came up against a very good Kazakhstani wrestler with about 25 AMI fights. So he was pretty good, and he'd wrestled a lot and done the IMMAF a fair few times. But he was good. I gave him a few licks, which I was quite happy with. But, and I was doing well, but his grappling was just so much better than mine. He controlled the majority of the fight. On the feet, I was doing quite well. I stung him some good shots. But he was just able to kind of get me, take me down, and then he choked me out in the third round. But again, mate, as an experience though,
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, just getting there is pretty incredible in itself, and then getting through even that far is wicked.
Yeah, no, because a lot of people try out for the IMMAF stuff, so it's to get picked and then be first team pick. That's cool.
That's
that's cool. So and then so after that, I then wanted to go pro. Couldn't really get a match up or anything like that. So I fought Thai. So I was out in Abu Dhabi, the Worlds in the January. Come back from that, fought Thai in February. Couldn't get another pro fight after that, and then so I fought Thai again. So so I won the one in February, lost the one in June or July, I think it was, and then was training for my pro debut for a show that was in November. This was Fight Star. This was the pro debut.
Oh yeah.
I was training for that, and then had wicked camp, done everything right, no injuries, no nothing. And on the day, the event got cancelled.
Oh,
which was that sucked.
The whole event.
The whole event got cancelled. Can't remember why. It was some ridiculous reason. The council basically shut the event down.
Oh wow.
Something to do with the premises not being safe or whatever. I don't know. It was a load of rubbish. But anyway, so that happened, and I ended up. I was staying ready, and I got called up by FCC, so a promotion a little bit more up north, Midlands sort of way near Manchester. And they were like, was it Manchester or Liverpool? Liverpool. And they were like, oh yeah, do you want to fight this guy? And I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'm well fit. I'm feeling great. Didn't really look too much into him, and I probably should have done. Because basically, this guy, you heard of Liam McCracken?
No, not that I can think of.
Anyway, he's good. So I was going in there pretty chilled and that, just we're all good. He came out just flipping, frothing at the mouth.
Right, yeah.
Stung me with the right hand, dropped me. I was just feeling my way into the fight. Stung with the right hand, dropped me. I got up. I was then, kind of like trying to defend a takedown, kind of like half dazed. Next thing you know, I was on the floor. He was like raining elbows in, and I was anyway. Long and short would be sub me in the first round, and that was my pro debut, and so that was pants. And then after the pro debut, kind of had a lot of things that I was there like, right, I need to work on this, this, and this. It was actually probably one of the better things that happened to me. That sounds like cliche, loss is a good thing sort of thing, but it is.
Yeah.
But it cemented a lot of things that I needed to get right in order to kind of perform to my capabilities.
Sure.
And we got those things right, corrected a lot of things over 6 months, and then had another pro fight in August of last year. And I knocked the guy out in the first round. And everything had gone right. We got the prep spot on. We got the mindset spot on, which was the main thing.
Okay.
And then we went out there and we competed and got it done properly. And that was really, really rewarding. Really rewarding.
Sounds like it paid off, to be fair.
It did.
That's awesome.
And that's the thing. So I spent like 6 months just like proper slogging out training, and then getting the result that I was after of what I kind of like felt was my pro debut. And then went out there and got a first round finish, and I was really, really happy. I had like and a good little bit of weight off the shoulders came with that as well. And so it was really good. And so just like competition, it's terrifying, but it's probably some of the most like rewarding thing, or one of the most, probably the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Yeah, and so it's kind of like it's the most like love-hate sort of thing I've ever experienced. But next thing you know, you're signing up to another one.
Yeah, that's it.
So
I was going to say, have you got any more in the books at the moment?
I actually just had one confirmed today, which is nice. So April the 13th on Caged Stand and Strike. So I think it's in Weston-super-Mare. Cool. Find a guy called Grant Ogborn. So he's pretty good. Had like a pretty big AMI career, and I think he's 2-1 as a pro. I'm 1-1. So it's a good matchup. It'll be a good fight, and so I'll literally just start prep for that now. So.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, that's exciting, mate.
And
more power to you.
Yeah, and so I want a good lot of pro fights.
I was going to say, is there a kind of a plan for what you want to do with the pro? Are you still very much just test yourself, or have you got like places you want to get to?
I want to see what level I'm at.
Okay.
To be honest, because I'm okay in the gym, but I always felt like if I get like the mindset on sort of thing, the mind right and everything, I'm always better on fight night. But I think it's you kind of get a bit of a free pass to really let everything go, because in sparring, particularly being a bit more of a striker, you pull some stuff.
Sure.
But if you're not to pull those things and you are to blast them in at like a fight intensity or whatever, I think they're much better deterrents and allow you to kind of like keep the range at where you want it.
Sure.
As a striker, I think. Yeah. So. Yeah,
there's a lot you can walk off in sparring that wouldn't necessarily be so walk-offable in reality.
Definitely. And so for me, I kind of want to see what sort of level I'm at. I've got some good stuff, so I want to see what sort of level I'm at. I want to compete because eventually, after I'm done competing, I'd like to set up my own gym. And again, I want the people to know that are training with me. It's like, well, he's done it.
Yeah.
What he says is correct, is true. But that's always been my thoughts on it. That's my own personal thoughts on it. Like I said, I know other people don't feel you need to fight and all that. So I find I need to fight if I want to teach, because I need to know what I'm saying is right.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I mean, I've heard quite a few people say the same thing, where it's not necessarily even about, you're doing it because long term you want to coach or whatever, but it's not necessarily about that. It's for you. You've got to know that actually you do have what it takes to do all that, and that what you're coaching is coming from a place that you can firsthand verify. Yeah,
definitely. Because 100%. Because I think you would know personally if you didn't believe what you were saying.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what other people believe you. But if you don't know what you're saying is true, and that's what it is for me. It's like I know what I'm saying is true because I have done it.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
I like what you said earlier, that unearned respect thing. A lot of the times people hear like, oh, you've done martial arts for 10 years or whatever. Like you get that respect without having actually done anything necessary. They just sort of believe it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've actually gone out there and put yourself, through it, then that is earned respect. Hard earned respect.
Yeah, and there's probably a bit of a complex there with me. Like, with that sort
I'm
of
sure
stuff,
there'll be something deep down.
I'm sure there's something there, but
some fucked up thing.
Yeah, 100%. So I think that's there. But I mean, man, like competing, man, it's just done wonders for me. And yes, you miss out on a lot of stuff, you make a lot of sacrifices, but at the end of the day, what you learn about like yourself and just what you can push yourself through, the discipline that you can, is grown or instilled into you through it, the resilience, just everything that kind of comes with it. It really, really, really strengthens your character.
Sure. Yeah.
Really strengthens it, and I think it's really good for. I think it's really good for people to do. I think if you do train in martial arts and you're getting good, I'd really just encourage everyone just to compete, because not just for competing's sake, but for what it does for your character and what you can push yourself through, particularly like for like young men. I think like because as a young man, you've got a lot of energy. Put it into something useful. And channel it into something where you learn about how you can discipline yourself and say no to things you want to say yes to. Say no to things you want to say yes to, and then pushing through things that you don't want to push through. Doing things you really don't want to do.
Yeah, do hard things.
Do hard shit. And I think that's a good thing for life as well, because you do hard shit, you get better at dealing with hard shit. It doesn't matter what it is, but like you can, because you're doing hard things, you can deal with hard things. If they're coming. And so I just think it's a good thing to do. Like, just full stop. It's good. I don't think there's anything bad that can come from it.
Yeah. Especially at the lower levels. Like if you're just like relatively new or starting out, I'm very much on the same page as you. I think everyone should compete at least once. Experience that adrenaline, the danger of it, like the whole.
Definitely.
Like, just put yourself out there.
Put yourself in that position. It's terrifying. See how you get on. I mean, honestly, you'll find out what you're made of, and that's cool. And so as terrifying as competing is, I've probably had about 13, 14 fights now. As terrifying as it is, still here.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you're all right.
You're fine. Everything will be fine. You're still here. Everything will be fine, and you always come out the other side of it. Always having gained something.
Oh yeah.
And it's when it's worth it every time. So it's good.
Yeah, and there's something to be said, I think, for the like hard training that you have to do when you commit yourself to like, okay, right, I'm going to do this thing. Like the way, I mean, I don't know, how do you change? Do you change much your training style? Do you dial it up when you've got a fight coming in? Or
certainly dial it up. It becomes more. You just, particularly in sparring, you just got a little added intensity, a little bit more like venom in what you throw in, a little bit more intensity. I like to be like really playful. I'm not an angry guy. I'm not trying to like, I want to, smash you and you and you. I'm not like that.
I'm busting up your training partner.
No, I'm generally quite playful. And I like doing that because with the play stuff, you can, you get to learn and everything. But when it comes to fighting and getting ready for a fight, I'm not playing.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm on it. If you give me that opportunity, you give me that opener, I'm taking it. I'm not gonna, play around with that opening. I'm taking it.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. Because that's how you need to get for a fight. And so I think with fighting, like I said, it's like, I'm not like the most aggressive person, but I think when it comes to fighting, you really have to channel that, because that's how you play the game.
Yeah.
It's like by nature, I'm not an aggressive person. I'm not like, I don't have all this anger stored up inside me. I'm not like, I don't enjoy hurting people sort of thing. But when it comes to fighting, it's either you or them, and you have to channel that, and you have to get used to channeling that in sparring. So that when you're coming to the fight, you're sort of in that mode. And so
it's not something new that you're thinking about. You're used to. You're practicing, I guess, going on that attack.
Yeah, definitely. And then you fight, goes your way, might not go your way. but that's that. But yeah, so the intensity in sparring ramps up, and obviously you're just pushing yourself just that little bit harder. You're like I said, you're not playing. If you're in you're stuck in a position on bottom, you're really working to get back to your feet, or work a sweep or a submission or whatever, or get out of that bad spot. You're not trying to play with that spot. You're not playing with it. You're working hard, sort of thing. So. And so it becomes quite intense, on top of, being low on calories and being tired and achy the whole time. Yeah, it makes you a little bit miserable. But I think you kind of need that a little bit of misery to...
really light a fire. Right?
Yeah, 100%, yeah. So, and then after it's done, mate, everything's better, mate.
I bet.
Grass is greener, colours pop a bit more, food tastes better, and it just
that Sunday morning after the fight is a fucking
mate, that Sunday morning after the fight is probably one of my favourite moments in life. I'll tell you that, particularly after winning as well.
Oh, I bet.
It's one of my favourite moments. It really is. You sit there, you wake up, and then you remember that you just won a fight last night.
Yeah.
And you are just sitting there, just still in absolute ecstasy, just like, I've not got a care in the world today because I'm going to fully revel in all of this. And it's good. And I think you need to. I think a lot of people are just super harsh on themselves. It's like, they win a fight and they're like, on to the next one, sort of thing. It's like, nah, win a fight and give yourself some credit, man.
Yeah, enjoy it.
I don't think that's going to make you soft or anything. It's like, I don't anyway. It's like, if I win a fight, I'm fucking buzzing.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I will ride that for it usually lasts about 2 days. And then it's then you're getting back to training, sort of thing. But you got to enjoy it. If you're if you're grinding out training all day every day, because most of the time I'd say about 60-70% of my training sessions I don't want to do. You know what I mean? But you go anyway. Well, not that you don't want to do. It's not that you don't want to do it, but it's like okay, I'm tired. I could probably leave this today. But do you ever not go to training? It's like no. It's like you always go. And then when you're there, it's always, you never regret a training session. You always regret the ones you didn't go to.
Yeah, for sure.
I can't remember what I was talking about. But anyway,
just that buzz.
Yeah, it's class, mate.
And I guess as well, are you a big weight cutter for your thing? Are you still lightweight or
featherweight? Featherweight. Yeah. So for the IMMAF thing, that was same day weigh-in. So I went lightweight, which is 70 kilo. But for anything else that's like day before weigh-in, I'll go 66. So I usually walk around about 74. Yeah, and then to 66, it's not a terrible cut.
Sounds rough. I can't even be bothered with like a kilo.
Yeah, that's it. It's like so it's that. Yeah, the 66 thing is it from 74 sounds rough, but usually diet down to about 72. Right. And I'm quite lean all year round anyway, and so I keep myself in pretty good nick all year round. I don't get mad heavy or anything like that. Sure. So dieting down to 72 that's not too bad, and then from 72 to 66. That's a 6 kilo cut. That's quite normal to do in a week.
On 5 weeks. So I was going to say, you tend to go from 72 and then do like a water cut or whatever. On that fight week.
Yeah, and then I usually walk back in there about 73 and a half sort of thing, and that's perfect for me. I'm really fast at that weight. I'm very strong, very athletic, and that's a good. That is a good weight for me. I don't like being 74, 75. I don't like being that weight. I'm slow, I'm cumbersome, I get tired too quick.
Right.
73 is on the money for me.
That's the sweet spot.
That's the sweet spot for me.
Did you find that out from your amateur career then?
Yeah.
And did you do that from the start? Were you always weight cutting, or did you go into it, explore weights?
No, I always went to 66, but when I had my first fight at 66, I think I only weighed about 68 kilos.
Sure.
So I was tiny. But then my brother-in-law, he's a very good strength and conditioning coach, and so he's been with my sister for 7, maybe 8 years or so. And so I met him about 7-8 years ago, and he planned all of my strength and conditioning for me. And since then, just packed on about 5 kilos of just solid muscle with him.
Beautiful, yeah.
And 5.5, maybe 6 kilos, and it's solid muscle. Because I'm lean at the moment. I'm sitting about 74. So, so I got heavier, but I was always cutting to 66.
Right.
But then because when people are cutting anyway, and you look at like people that are in like the UFC or whatever, it's like, the guys that are cutting to 66, they're probably cutting from anywhere from 74 to about probably about 78.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Yeah. Some of them are brutal weight cuts.
Yeah, but I think it comes to a point where it becomes a detriment. You
Sure.
know, it's like, you know, I think I got asked if I could make bantam, and I was like, absolutely no, I'd have to cut a leg off.
Yeah.
It's like, no. So I'm not. I think it comes to a point where you cut too much weight, it becomes a detriment to your performance. So
Sure.
yeah, cutting from 74 down to 66 has always been very good for me. I feel very good, very fast, very fit. That's a good weight for me. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. All right. Well, I'm very conscious as well. You've got more clients coming in soon as well, so I think we may as well start kind of wrapping up there. That's
sweet.
Super interesting. For people that want to follow you, where is the best place to find you? And people that want to train as well, I'm assuming you're open to PTs here.
Yeah. So for people that are for PT, follow Head Kick Martial Arts on Instagram and Facebook. So
I like that name, by the way. I saw that when I started following you. Where's that from?
Head Kick Harry.
Nice.
It was like an unofficial nickname I got in the gym because I got a good left high kick.
Right.
I got a good one. And so I got an unofficial nickname in the gym of Head Kick, and then it just kind of stuck. I haven't walked out with it yet, but
do you have an official nickname then?
No.
Okay.
No. I'm just Harry Shaw at the moment. But So if they ask me, then it's Head Kick Harry Shaw. So, but that's where Head Kick came from, and so the logo on it is actually me.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's actually
done like a silhouette thing.
Yeah. So it's me. I was out in Thailand, went and trained back there. At Head Kick Martial Arts, if you want to look at kind of all PT stuff and want to inquire and have a little look at like what I do here, and then if you want to follow just like me personally, it's just I think it's Harry W Shaw 95 on Instagram. It's not a private account anyway, so stalk.
Yeah,
not follow if you want. So yeah.
Well, that's it. Just the more support for the next fights.
Yeah, definitely.
Big things.
Yeah.
And well, I appreciate your time hugely. I appreciate the insights.
Nice.
Been a pleasure.
Nice one. Thanks very much. Cheers. Appreciate that. Nice one.
Thank you for listening. I really hope you enjoyed that. Please be sure to go and check out Harry. You can follow him on Instagram, like we said. I'll put the details in the description. But show him some support. Let's follow him for his journey into professional MMA and give him some support going through that. Please do check him out if you're interested in training with him as well. He does do coaching. Obviously check out all of the details below. Please also make sure you share this podcast with another martial artist. Let's spread the word, and until the next time, I'll see you there.